What's good, everybody? It's the Clown with Cap show. We got Jake Paul versus Tyron Woodley. This is going to be great. How did this all transpire? What happened? What was said? I think really what happened was Tyron showed up with Jake at Jake Paul's fight versus Ben Askren. We have to understand, Jake Paul, yes, he's fought 3 times in boxing, in pro boxing, 3-0, won all fights, but we have to understand, Ben Askren, dude, yes, he's a UFC fighter, but he's not a striker. He's a wrestler, okay? So I knew he was going to get effed up, dude. For real. I was like, this is not a fair fight. Jake Paul's easily going to win. A lot of people were saying it was rigged, this and that. It's like, come on. But to me, Tyron Woodley versus Jake Paul, I really think this is going to be a great fight. Here's why, because a lot of Tyron Woodley's wins in the UFC were due to knockouts, were due to throwing heavy hands, and I'm telling you what, he's quick. He's really quick and explosive off the jump, and he has a lot of power in his legs and his arms. That's why I like Woodley a lot, and really, he's really underestimated in that aspect. So to me, I cannot wait for this fight. Who am I rooting for? Ultimately, yes, I want Woodley to win, 100%, dude. And here's why. I think Jake Paul, he's a piece of shit. I think he's really a douchebag. I really do. That's my honest opinion. I mean, straight up, all he does really is talk shit. And really, that's how he got into boxing, is by talking shit to other people, and he's fought 3 whack fighters his first 3 fights, okay? So that makes sense why he's 3-0, and I get that. So let's say Jake Paul does knock out Woodley, okay? And I will be like, all right, I was wrong about Paul. I didn't, Jake Paul, I really thought he was a fake fighter. I really thought he just talked his way into fights, talked his way into these big-time fights, but let's give it off to Jake Paul. He's talking all this stuff, but he's still winning fights. I'll give him that. But I'm telling you what, this is the real deal here, okay? No, not Holyfield. I'm telling you, Woodley is the real deal. And yes, I understand he lost his 3 or 4 fights in a row in the UFC. I do think he's done in the UFC. He's 39 years of age. But to me, dude, his boxing skills are phenomenal for a UFC fighter. Tyron Woodley was way up there in that skill level. In his UFC career, he was 19-7-1. He KO'd Robbie Lawler for the belt at UFC 201. So Tyron Woodley is a champion. He's a champion. He's been through adversity. He's been through all types of stuff. He's a champion at the end of the day. He had the belt at one point. Obviously not a champion anymore. I'm losing to Usman. But to me, one of his most iconic knockouts was against Josh Koscheck. This was at UFC 167. This was in 2013, which was like a decade ago. I'll give him that. But this is really when Woodley was young, coming up in the UFC, before he was champion. And he was throwing hands on these guys. One hit, they are knocked out. That's it. Lights out. It's over. So to me, this fight's going to be great. I cannot wait for it. Jake Paul, look, I understand. His most recent fight was against Ben Askren. He looked like he was drinking beer every day, not training at all. It looked like literally Ben Askren just showed up to collect the check. $500K, $1 million, whatever the case was. He just came in and got an easy payday to look dumb and get knocked out. And that's what Ben Askren did. Now, we have to understand, Ben Askren was a wrestler. He would literally go after people and just wrestle them down in the UFC. He could not strike. So to me, that fight did not make sense. I said, why is Ben Askren even fighting Jake Paul? You know what I'm saying? Vice versa. Why is Jake Paul fighting Ben Askren? Knowing that he's not a striker, knowing he's not a good boxer, knowing he doesn't throw hands well, doesn't throw them quick. So to me, it didn't make sense at all. It's kind of just like picking his opponents, and these aren't like top box pro fighters. Same thing with Woodley. He's a UFC guy. You know what I'm saying? Like, this cat is a UFC dude, not a pro boxer either. So it's going to be a little different for Woodley. But at the same time, Woodley's going to be in his element as well, of throwing hands, jabbing, moving, and the thing is with Woodley is being a UFC guy is you have to worry about getting leg kicked. You have to worry about the guy taking you down. You have to worry about so many different scenarios where nowadays, in boxing, you just have to worry a couple scenarios. Not get pieced up. No, obviously you're gonna get pieced up, but not look dumb. Not get hit with the punch that you don't see. Because more times than not, that's the knockout that you get knocked out from, is the punch that you don't see coming. So to me, I think Woodley needs to train hard for this. For Woodley, it's like I do believe he's done in the UFC. So for me, Woodley, I would train absolutely the hardest I've ever trained in my life because, looking at it from this perspective is, Woodley, you did great in the UFC. You were champion at one point. You're a millionaire. So to me, at this point, it's like, for Woodley, it's like, if you really do embarrass Jake Paul, really it puts the stop to all this debate of, he's a goon, he's this and that. To me, I really do. I think Jake Paul's a fake fighter. I do. Seriously. I will give Jake credit for this. I do think he's a better boxer than his brother Logan, who's fighting Floyd Money Mayweather, in about a week from now, which is crazy to me as well. That fight didn't make sense to me either. For Mayweather, the only thing I think Mayweather took that fight is, $100 million, I'll take it again. Against a YouTube kid who's 0-1 in pro boxing. Okay? So that shit this doesn't add up either. But to me, for Jake Paul, he's arrogant, he's cocky, I get all that. But I really do think he's immature. I think he's really a piece of shit. I really do, dude. He's a douchebag. And I really do hope Tyron Woodley really proves something to me. Really shows up and really embarrasses Jake Paul. I want to see him get knocked the fuck out. For real. Excuse my language, but I'm telling you right now, I want to see Jake Paul hit the ground hard, dude. And all that talk would just be a whole bunch of nouns and verbs. Seriously. That's what I want to see happen. But for Woodley, dude, he's got to go into this fight dog mentality. Meaning go for broke, meaning everything you throw has to have a purpose, has to have a meaning, even all the body shots. If I'm Woodley's coach, that's what I'm going towards. Hitting the jab a lot, working the jab, but also the body shots. I'm telling you what, if you get hit with a good body shot, you'll even see it in the opponent. You'll start to see him slow down a little bit, and you can start to see his body tense up, not like that hit. For real. If you hit him with a solid body shot, that's really all it takes. And we go back to the Iron Mike Tyson, the great Iron Mike, which is my GOAT. He would knock guys down with a simple body shot, dude. Just drop. And that was really the first time I seen a guy drop from a body shot. And that's why Woodley needs to work here. Slow him down. Wear him down in the later rounds to me. This fight's taking place August 28th. A minute away, but still, I want to see something spectacular here. Okay, I really do. Because say if Jake Paul does knock out Woodley, we're not going to hear the end from it. My thing is, let's say Jake Paul does knock out Tyron Woodley, okay? Now, for Jake Paul, he's got to fight a pro boxer, a top-notch pro boxer. He's always fighting these UFC cats? You know what I'm saying? Fight a real boxer. Maybe Canelo. Maybe even Floyd Money Mayweather. Fight somebody who's been in the boxing ring his whole life. You know what I'm saying? Woodley's not a boxer. He's a UFC guy. But he can. Over six knockouts by punches in the UFC by Woodley. You know what I'm saying? So he's got power. He's got precision. All that. So to me, I think really what built up to this fight, like I said earlier, was Askren fight. Jake Paul and him had a little discussion, I think an argument, and his boys were talking crazy to Woodley. And that's the thing, all the disrespect. You know what I'm saying? We're talking about Woodley here, a former UFC champion, getting disrespected. Same thing what Jake Paul did to Mayweather. Disrespect. We're talking about, the greatest of all time of our generation. Disrespect towards him. So to me, I think reality's really going to hit Jake Paul eventually. It might not be the Woodley fight, but I hope it is. It's going to come sooner than later. If he thinks he's a real boxer, we're hearing sources that, some of these pro boxers, they go and see him sparring. They say he's a great athlete. He's great at this, but, to go to the top notch, he's just not on that level. He's not, dude. Ben Askren, he looks like a dude from the street, man. Seriously. Ben Askren of all people, bro. And you're really proud of that? To me, it just doesn't make sense. But for Woodley, I want to see him shock the world. I want to see him knock out and really go after that. He's been tested, and I understand Woodley's been really looking weak in the UFC. His last 4 fights, lost them all. 2 fights ago, he lost to Colby Covington. Colby, really dominated from start to finish. And I just really think Woodley, that's it. He's done in the UFC. We know that. I think a lot of the hunger's gone away as well. And he got dominated by Covington, got taken down a lot. And Woodley, he does have some type of background in wrestling. But to me, I always thought Woodley as a fighter, I always thought his takedown defense was great. And also his striking. His striking was phenomenal. So to me, this is going to be a dogfight. I really do think so. But, you know, at my prediction, I'm going Woodley with the knockout. I got to go Woodley with the TKO knockout, maybe 1 or 2 hits. I just think, you know, Woodley, he was really underestimated with his hand speed. You know, and I'll give Jake Paul credit. Like, you know, you fall Ben Askren, dude. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's a wrestler, bro. He's a wrestler. So, you know, you get in the boxing ring and you're a boxer and you're fighting a wrestler. Well, who's going to win? You know what I'm saying? Like, some of these guys, they should go to the UFC and fight one of these UFC cats. You know, it's a completely different sport, a completely different ball game. You got to worry about getting leg kicked in the head, the shin. You know, you got to worry about so many different scenarios, getting taken down, ground and pound. There's just so many different scenarios to where boxing's just really kind of just a one-trick pony to where, you know, you got to just avoid body punches and punches to the head. You don't have to worry about getting taken down in boxing. You don't have to worry about getting leg kicked in the leg where your leg starts to cramp up and you can't really move on it as well. You know what I'm saying? Like, so much different shit. So to me, for Woodley, I don't blame Woodley. He's 39 now. You know, at the end of his career, why not do this, dude? You know, Woodley has really nothing to lose. You know, for real. And I think, you know, that the pressure's definitely on Jake Paul. I don't think the pressure's on Woodley. Why would the pressure be on Woodley? He's a UFC cat, not even a boxer, dude. And to me, going into this fight, I think it's going to be epic. I really do. But, you know, for me, if Jake Paul does knock out Woodley, I'm really going to be devastated. I really am, because it's like, how? How are you going to let this happen, dude? You know, we have to realize, and I'll be wrong. I'll eat my words and say, you know what? You know, maybe Jake Paul is a real fighter then if he does knock out Woodley. You know, like, straight up, if he really does knock out Woodley, then he's a real fighter. I'll give him that, because Woodley's a former UFC champion. We're talking a champion, heart of a champion. So, to me, it's going to be great overall. But, you know, I can't believe it's really happening. You know, I can't believe really his brother Logan Paul's fighting, you know, the best fighter of our generation in Floyd Money Mayweather. You know, how did that become about? And I think a lot of it has to do with social media as well as talking crap. For real. You know, when you talk crap and build all this hype, I think really the society buys into it. Social media buys into it, like Twitter, you know, Graham, everything, all types of media platforms. We buy into this. And people are going to watch his brother Logan versus Mayweather, which I think, you know, at the end of the day, I got to go Mayweather. You know, 50-0 versus 0-1. You know what I'm saying? Like, come on. But, you know, everyone's got a puncher's chance. But for me, you know, obviously out of the Paul brothers, you know, the most I dislike is definitely Jake Paul. You know, arrogant, cocky, you know, just selfish. You know what I'm saying? Just talks all the time, dude. So many people want to piece up Jake Paul. And for Woodley, this is his best chance right now to embarrass him. Embarrass him in front of social media, embarrass him in front of society, and really put an end to his career of so-called, I'm a boxer now. You know what I'm saying? Like, end that debate, dude. You're not a boxer, dude. You're a douchebag. That's what Jake Paul is, dude. He's a douche. Straight up. You know, he doesn't care, dude. All he cares about him is self, dude. He's self-inflicted, self-arrogant. You know, he's a douche, man. For real. So I would love to see douchebag Jake Paul get pieced up by Tyron Woodley and look embarrassed and really look back and say, man, you know, I should have been saying these type of things. So to me, I'm going Tyron Woodley with the knockout. You know, we could say round 1, round 2, whatever the round may be. And I think this is really how it's going to go. I think Woodley's going to really control the pace and really let him win maybe 1 or 2 rounds and then drag him out into the deeper rounds. Drag Jake Paul out into the deep end and really drown him there. Hit him with a lot of body shots. You know, if I'm Woodley's coach, I'm saying start with the body. You know, and then he'll start to open up once you start to slow him down. His movements. You know what I'm saying? Like, dude, this is so different, bro. It is so different, but I got Woodley over Jake Paul, baby. It's the Clown with Cab show. Let's go!